Alright you guys, so here we are right up here on Lookout Mountain, or right close to being up on Lookout Mountain, and I have my handy dandy book here because I was going to actually show you guys the battle map of Wachahe and also Browns Ferry. Once I locate it, it's kind of windy out here today. I got my wind guard on my camera to make sure that I can provide that information and also give you guys some good feedback and not a lot of wind. We are coming up on it right now. Okay, so the Battle of Chattanooga, November 23rd through the 25th of 1863. Right here. So this is the battle map of Browns Ferry. As you can see, there is Turchin where we are today, the reservation of General Turchin, and this is his man. They were trying to get over the Tennessee River, and then you have Hazen right there. So you have these forces right there. Then you have a couple Alabama infantries right there waiting for them to come over. Now this is the Battle of Wachahe, and then this is the one that took place in 2 days. So there you go, there's that. So as you can see, the Battle of Wachahe was actually right below Lookout Mountain, right there.
Okay, that's better. Some a bit more space.
Yeah, and then Browns Ferry is also located near the Moccasin Point or Moccasin Bend, which is also attached to a lot of Native American history as well. But you know, the Trail of Tears already happened, so they were already long gone by that point. But right here to my left is a plaque discussing Dent's Alabama battery that was set here. We had 6 12-pounders, Napoleons over here under the Major Alfred R. Courtney's Artillery Battalion. And then this kind of gives you information about where this battery was set up. As you can see, we got a couple of them right here. There's a plaque over there. We'll touch that in just 1 second. But there is a marker over here. And as you can see, this is one of them that I was talking about. Turchin Reservation. There's a couple other ones that are around the area that you can take a step to. But this is Samuel Betty's brigade, which was Wood's division. It was consisted of 79th Indiana, 86th Indiana, 9th Kentucky, 17th Kentucky, 13th Ohio, 19th Ohio, and 59th Ohio. So we got many different regions that was here. Now, another reservation that they do have here is called the Sherman Reservation, and I'll drop some pictures as well as some information about it. But basically, the Sherman Reservation was where Sherman actually encountered the Confederates and battled them up into the point of making them withdraw from the Tunnel Hill area, pushing them southward. So I'll look at getting some more information for you guys on that as well. I have a lot of things on those reservations. We're going to walk over here. Actually, let me grab it real quick because I got a tape right here. Make sure my fans get the right info. That's actually pretty cool though. What is that?
There's 34th Alabama over here.
34th?
It's not 31st, but there's 34th.
Well, 28th was here. That's one that Jenny was talking about.
Is it 28th? I thought it was 34th.
Yeah. 28th Alabama.
I know hers is 31st, right?
Yeah. But some of the 28th was with the 31st.
Okay. That's neat.
Oh, and also on that Sherman Reservation,
Yeah.
General William T. Sherman's troops assaulted the Confederate defenses on Tunnel Hill, causing General Patrick Cleburne to successfully fend off Sherman's men, but was eventually forced to retreat as the rest of the Confederate army retreated eastward off of Missionary Ridge. All right, so we have came up to the next reservation here on our journey through Missionary Ridge. This is the DeLong reservation. There was a man named Colonel Edward Phillips that was leading his brigade up the slope. As he reached the crest of the mountain, he was actually struck and killed by a Confederate bullet. And then it was a monument of the 2nd Minnesota. So right about this crest, he was actually shot and killed by a Confederate bullet. And over there, that blue marker is Turchin's brigade, the last one that we just seen. But right here, we have a couple plaques right here that's going to talk about the Confederate casualties and the Union casualties of the Battle of Chattanooga. And you can just see it tells you about the officers enlisted, you know, which one's been killed, wounded, or missing. And this is for all of Confederacy. And now this is Union. This is Union casualties of Battle of Chattanooga. This is giving you a grand total of their losses from Orchid Knob, Lookout Mountain, as well as Missionary Ridge, and operations following as far as Ringgold Gap, which is the last place that we will be tackling. Now this is the Confederates casualties of Battle of Chattanooga, and this is also from Orchid Knob, Lookout Mountain, Missionary Ridge, as well as Ringgold Gap. And then these are the commanding officers that was in charge during the time of the Battle of Chattanooga. And then you have the 2nd Minnesota monument right here. You have a couple cannons split from one another, which is giving you a marker for Waters, Alabama Battalion. So
Does it come up from right here?
he was coming up the crest of the mountain and was shot. Colonel Edward Phillips.
They came up from that mountain.
Yeah.
There's like a walkway down there too. Did you see
Yeah,
it?
but I mean, as soon as he comes up.
That's crazy. You can see a little bit in there. I'm trying to see if I can see it.
So he was coming up this mountain right here.
Ooh, that one going on down there. You want to get in front? Go ahead. Men first.
See what? So this is the slope that he was coming up.
Oh, that's something. There's a walkway that goes over there.
Yeah. Well, part of it. Yeah, but I mean, it's a steep slope. You can already tell by walking on it.
Yeah.
So you know that they probably wore out their legs when it was streets right here.
Oh, I'm sure.
Seems like Alabama had a lot of battery down here.
Yeah.
Because they had one over there too. And then right here, killed in the assault on Mission Ridge. 185 men engaged. Wow. Hey, this monument was put up in 1893.
Was it really?
Yeah.
1893?
1893. See? Erected by the state of Minnesota in 1893.
That was before that.
No. It was after.
Was after?
Yeah. That stuff happened in like the 60s.
No, the what?
The Jim Crow law.
The 60s?
Yeah, like the 50s and 60s. But that was like 18 something, so that was 1893, right?
Yeah.
The Civil War ended in like 1865. So it was only like 20, 30 years after the Civil War that they decided to put this monument here.
After?
Yeah, after the Civil War. To honor the men of Minnesota and their sacrifices. So with that being said, you guys, we're gonna go ahead and head out, load up, and head to Bragg Reservation. That is where the Confederates suffered a major defeat in their center line when the Union broke it. It was also the headquarters of Braxton Bragg. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna start heading over there right now. Talk to you guys again soon. Alright you guys, so we are at the next location. This is the Bragg Reservation here in Chattanooga. This is giving you a more layout of the Battle of Missionary Ridge. This was also Bragg's headquarters, where you are standing. This is where General Thomas was able to successfully break the center line of the Confederacy, ultimately pushing them back. This is Rossville Gap. Now if you are ever in Rossville, there is a monument over there in Rossville, Georgia, right before you get into Tennessee, that gives you a little bit more information. I'll be posting that in the video for you guys as well, giving you guys some more information. Here is a picture of a man dressed in a uniform. He was in the 24th Wisconsin Infantry to the crest of Missionary Ridge after 3 color bearers had fallen. MacArthur, the father of General Douglas MacArthur, was awarded the Medal of Honor. So that's actually pretty cool. There's Hooker on the side, and then you have Sherman. There's Orchid Knob. This is another place where the Confederates lost during their time in Chattanooga. It happened on the morning of November 25th, 1863, when Major General Grant's Union Army began its attack against General Braxton Bragg's Confederates, who occupied this ridge and the slopes below. After unsuccessful attacks on the northern end of the ridge and the slow march of Hooker's troops from the south, Grant ordered Major General George H. Thomas' troops in the center to seize the Confederate rifle pits at the base of the ridge. The Federals stormed the rifle pits, forcing Confederates to retreat up the slopes in front of you. Then, without order, the Federals swarmed up the slope in pursuit, swept over the crest, and routed the poorly positioned defenders. So they were basically coming up from that way and eventually retreating up this way. There's another one of those plaques discussing the casualties that the Union and Confederates suffered here at Missionary Ridge, Orchid Knob, and even Ringgold Gap. Here is a monument honoring the Illinois soldiers that fought here, but also many other battles as well. It's a very beautiful piece of craftsmanship to honor the soldiers. Here's Cobb's Kentucky Battery that was here. If you guys remember, Beckett Ridge was also at Chickamauga. So most of these men do go to multiple different battles and are used a lot. Like right here, they lost 4 guns. So the unit itself lost 4 guns, had 3 men missing, 7 wounded, 1 killed. and then they also had 3 horses killed. So kind of gives you, this is some of the men from Sherman's brigades. Sherman had the 44th Infantry, the 88th Infantry, 36th Infantry, 73rd Infantry, and 74th. I like how they did it too, because they kind of broke it down to make it a little bit easier to see the men that was in the units. And then we have this one right here, giving you more of the commanders in the brigades that they were commanding over. We have a monument right here. I think this one is Wisconsin. Which one do you think it is, baby?
Wisconsin. No. Ohio. Oh, I was right. Okay.
Ohio. 97th Ohio Volunteer. So this is a monument representing the 97th Ohio Volunteer Infantry here at Missionary Ridge. Right here behind me, though, is a small little marker honoring the Illinois regiments that was here. This one, these little plaques are also honoring. I believe this one is Ohio. Yeah, 125th Ohio. So this is a monument to honor those men that fought here. Wow, could you imagine this? Look at this thing.
Careful.
Look.
That's a serious drop off right there.
That's kind of like the slope they had to climb. They had to come up.
Yeah?
Yeah. They were coming up this slope. The soldiers were. And then being shot each time they were coming up on the crest. It's crazy.
Hey.
Yeah, the road sitting on top of the trees.
Huh?
The road sitting on top of the trees.
I was just wondering why the...
Huh? What? Oh.
What is it? Illinois?
Yeah, Illinois. Ohio, 64. Got the 65th Ohio right here. And here is Georgia's battery.
Oh, wow.
I still can't get. They got one down there too. That's a battery too. Could you imagine running up this slope?
Going down there.
Could you imagine running up this slope?
So is it just showing this because the Confederates were coming this way?
Yeah. Well, because they had men stationed right there and men on down below the slope,
Okay.
and the Confederates were in what you would call like a rifle pit. And George, yeah, something like that. And then George Thomas was ordered by Grant to break the center of the Confederate line, and ultimately he was able to break the Confederate line. That was what convinced them to retreat from the rifle pits and come up the hill where we were standing, you know, because they were being overrun and overpowered by Union that was breaking the center of the line and was causing them to come up the hill, ultimately basically giving the victory to the Union, because it caused the Union or the Confederates to retreat, because, you know, this battle occurred on November 25th, and then it also went on until about November 26th. And then they were eventually just retreated and forced out of Chattanooga, which opens the railroad system and the rail lines. What Grant was, his main objective was to open up the main railroad, because he knew that if he did not capture Chattanooga, with Chattanooga being right there in between, or on that same path to Atlanta, they wouldn't have no supply lines. And so Chattanooga was an essential part of the Union Army to be able to capture it. And once they were able to capture Chattanooga and have complete control over Chattanooga, they were able to start opening up rail lines and supply lines for the Union. Because before Grant got here in Chattanooga, General George H. Thomas and his men was stuck in between like a mountain. They were surrounded by Confederates, and they were being starved out. They were being starved because they couldn't get no supplies in, and there was Confederates all around. So they were starving and trying to figure ways of eating and everything else. So when Grant came, that's when they opened up that operation called the Cracker Line. And they knew that once they can win here at Missionary Ridge and Orchid Knob and all that other stuff, that's what showed out to be that Grant's operation of the Cracker Line was a success, because now they opened up a supply line for the Confederate, or for the Union, which in a sense kind of helped them get down to Atlanta. Because after the 26th of November, they were forced out here. And they eventually retreated to Ringgold, and then that's when you had Ringgold Gap on November 27th, 1863. And that was when Patrick Cleburne battled the Union general at the time. It wasn't Sherman, but it was Joseph Hooker that was in charge of the Union at the time at Ringgold Gap. And eventually, he gave a good fight, Patrick Cleburne did, but he eventually ordered the retreat. With that retreat, though, it was a smart move, because it gave his men another 9 months to be able to fight, and they wouldn't have been completely slaughtered at Ringgold Gap, because they were already worn out from Chickamauga a few months back in September. That lasted 3 days, and the casualty rate was high. And then you have the two battles that occurred on the outskirts or inside the Chattanooga limit. The Battle of Browns Ferry and Wachiti, and then you have Missionary Ridge, Orchid Knob, Battle of Lookout Mountain, and so they were constantly fighting, and they didn't have enough supplies, enough food, and so Grant wanted to make sure that he could get this victory pretty quickly and pretty swiftly, and that's why Lincoln brought Grant to the Western Theater, because he knew that the other generals of the Union Army was doing the only thing that they were doing was losing, and that's not what Lincoln was needing. He needed somebody that could stand toe to toe with Lee and with the Northern Virginia and the Army of Tennessee, Joseph E. Johnston or Braxton Bragg. So the best move to make if you want to save the Union and save the country and reunite this country was to bring General Grant as well as General Sherman to the Western Theater, and that was when you seen Grant going up towards Virginia and stuff like that to battle Lee. Grant sent Sherman down to Atlanta from Chattanooga. So after they got done here in Chattanooga, he went down towards Georgia, where they had the Battle of Resaca, Rocky Face, and many others, up until the burning of Atlanta in October 1863, I believe that is, no, 1864, the burning of Atlanta, and then you eventually have the notorious March to Sea, where Sherman ultimately cuts all communication with the North, and was finding ways to be able to feed his men, and even keep his men having hunger. So it was a tough task, and it was a doubtful mission at one point, but eventually they were able to succeed and get down to Savannah, ultimately giving Savannah to Lincoln as a Christmas gift. But with that being said, you guys, we're going to go ahead and start heading down to Ringgold and show you guys the Ringgold Gap. But before we get the Ringgold Gap, we're going to show you where General Hood was taken to rehabilitate after his leg was being amputated. So stay tuned for that. Love you guys, and talk to you guys again soon.